Car dealership manager kicks out Keanu Reeves, unaware he is the new owner. The luxury car dealership was a place of status. Sleek cars, polished floors, and salesmen who only cared about one thing: money. That's why when a quiet man in a hoodie and worn-out sneakers walked in, no one paid him any respect. He wasn't flashy. He didn't scream wealth. So to them, he wasn't worth their time. The salespeople rolled their eyes. The manager groaned in annoyance. "Sir, maybe you should try a used car lot instead," the manager sneered. The man didn't argue. He simply nodded, smiled, and walked out. But what the manager didn't know? He had just kicked out Keanu Reeves. And by the time Keanu walked back through those doors, things would be very, very different. Because the man they had mocked was about to become their new boss. Keanu Reeves walked into the dealership without an entourage, without cameras, without a hint of arrogance. He wasn't there to show off. He was there because he loved cars. But to the staff, he was just another nobody. As he ran his hand along the sleek hood of a sports car, a salesman approached, his smile forced and impatient. "Can I help you?" he asked, but his tone already assumed the answer was no. Keanu gave a polite nod. "Just looking." The salesman glanced at Keanu's simple hoodie and worn jeans. His smirk widened. "Sir, these cars start at $200,000, he said. "Maybe you should check out something more affordable." Keanu's smile never faded, but something shifted in his eyes. Then the dealership manager walked over. With a sigh, he crossed his arms. "We don't have time for window shoppers. Please leave." The other employees snickered. Keanu didn't argue. He never did. He simply nodded, turned around, and walked out. But before he left, he pulled out his phone. And that's when everything changed. Standing just outside the dealership, Keanu took a deep breath. He wasn't angry. He wasn't even surprised. He had seen this before. People judging others by their appearance, by what they assumed about them. So instead of arguing, he made a phone call. Not to complain, not to get revenge, but to buy the entire dealership. On the other end of the line was a close friend, a major investor in the dealership chain. "How much for the dealership at location?" Keanu asked, his voice calm. The investor chuckled. "Why do you ask?" "Because I want to buy it. Today." Silence, then a burst of laughter. "Keanu, you're serious, aren't you?" "Dead serious," Keanu replied. "Send me the paperwork. But don't tell anyone I'm the buyer yet. I want to walk in as a customer one more time." The investor, intrigued, agreed. Within an hour, the paperwork was in motion. Keanu smiled as he put his phone away. He didn't want an apology. He didn't need one. But he did want to teach them a lesson. And tomorrow, he was going to do just that. The next morning, Keanu Reeves walked back into the dealership. And this time, everything was about to change. The next morning, Keanu Reeves walked back into the dealership. Same hoodie, same worn-out sneakers, same dismissive looks from the staff. The manager spotted him and let out an annoyed sigh. "You again? Didn't we already tell you?" But before he could finish, a new voice cut through the air. "Where's Mr. Reeves?" The entire room froze. A man in a suit, the dealership's regional director, had just walked in, scanning the floor. The manager frowned. "Who?" The director's eyes landed on Keanu, and a smile spread across his face. He walked straight up to him and shook his hand. "Mr. Reeves, welcome back. We finalized the paperwork this morning. Congratulations on your new dealership." Silence. The manager's face turned ghost white. The same man he had insulted, dismissed, and kicked out just yesterday was now his boss. Keanu turned to him, expression calm, composed. "I believe we got off on the wrong foot," he said, extending his hand. The manager's lips twitched in panic. With shaking fingers, he shook Keanu's hand. The entire staff stood in shock, realizing their mistake. But Keanu wasn't there to humiliate anyone. He was there to teach them something they would never forget. The staff stood frozen, their faces filled with shock and embarrassment. Keanu could have fired them all on the spot. He had every reason to. But that wasn't who he was. Instead, he took a deep breath and spoke calmly. "I'm not here to take revenge," he said. "I'm here to change how this place operates." The employees glanced at each other, confused. Keanu turned to the manager. "Tell me, how many customers do you turn away based on how they look?" The manager had no answer. He looked down, ashamed. Keanu continued, his voice firm but kind. No one should be judged by their appearance. Every customer who walks in here deserves respect. Whether they drive a Ferrari or a used sedan, they should be treated the same. The room was silent. The staff knew he was right. Then Keanu gave the manager a choice. You can either change how you treat people, or you can leave. The manager swallowed hard, and after a long pause, he nodded. I want to stay. From that moment on, the dealership would never be the same. The news spread like wildfire. Keanu Reeves buys car dealership after being kicked out. Social media exploded. Fans couldn't stop talking about it. Keanu is the classiest guy ever. This is how you handle disrespect, with power and humility. Lesson learned, always treat people with kindness. But the real story? It wasn't just about Keanu buying a dealership. It was about what he did next. Keanu didn't just change the management. He changed the way the dealership operated. He implemented customer-first policies, ensuring that everyone, no matter how they looked, was treated with respect. He also introduced a discount program for low-income families who needed a reliable car. And when asked by reporters why he did it, Keanu simply said, because no one should be made to feel small. Everyone deserves respect. The dealership's reputation transformed overnight. Sales skyrocketed. Employees worked with a new attitude. And the manager? He had learned a lesson he would never forget. This wasn't about money or power. It was about respect. Keanu Reeves didn't buy the dealership to get revenge. He bought it to teach a lesson. Because in life, you never know who you're talking to. That's why treating everyone with kindness isn't just the right thing to do, it's the smart thing to do. Because power, it doesn't always come in a fancy suit or a luxury car. Sometimes it walks in quietly in a hoodie and sneakers. And the person you dismiss today might just own everything tomorrow. If you enjoyed this story, like, share, and subscribe for more inspiring content. What would you have done in Keanu's place? Comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts.